Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and today we are going to be creating this adorable Halloween card using the Spooky Gnome set from Close to My Heart. So this is just a close-up of the card that we are going to be recreating. I did change it up a little bit. I kind of changed the color scheme on the one that we're going to be making right here on the video. So on this one I made his hat purple and his little shoes green, and I did the exact opposite on the card that we'll be making together. Otherwise, everything else is the same. I'm going to use the same sentiment and the same oxide inks as well. So this one has a lot of fun techniques. We're going to be using the oxide inks and then also some embossing technique as well. So right here you can see on this one, I kind of forgot to use my anti-static pouch on top of it. So when I went to stamp and then use the heat gun, it kind of did this weird like splatter effect because essentially all of those little particles of embossing kind of stayed on there. But I kind of like it because it almost gives like a night sky look. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, the products that we're going to be using today are the Spooky Gnome stamp set and thin cut from Close to My Heart. We are also going to be using a black sheet of cardstock that I cut down to 8.5 by 5.5. You just fold it right in the middle and that gives you a black card base. And then I am using the Distress Oxide inks that Close to My Heart now carries from Ranger or Tim Holtz. I will be using Seedless Preserves, Mowed Lawn, and then Black Soot. And then the markers that I used to color in this little gnome guy right here. Again, I used the green and the purple to kind of switch the color combination on the card that we'll be making right now. And the colors that I used were light green blend, the coral blend, the brown gray blend, and then the regular black marker as well. I kind of use this to just color in the true black to kind of color in the little brim of his hat as well. So those are the markers that I used. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this card. So this is just cut down to 4 1/4 by 5.5. 4 1/4 by 5.5. Let me check real quick. Like it is, it's 4 by 5 1/4. So 5.5 by 4 1/4 is the standard card. So I just cut it 1/4 of an inch down. And this is that really awesome Tim Holtz paper that works the best with the oxide inks. Again, you don't have to use it. You can use the regular Close to My Heart white paper, but I just like using this sheet. I cut it down to size and you can see on this side it is nice and textured. And then on the other side it is smooth. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that off, just kind of inking it up. And like I did in the last video, I showed you guys that you kind of start off the page and then you move over. So this is going to be pretty simple. We're just using 3 colors. I decided to use the green, the purple, and the black just because that's kind of the color theme that I was going with. But then this also ends up kind of looking like grass and then the night sky. So go ahead and get that removed. Move on to the purple. And I really love these Distressed Oxide inks. These are just such a fun addition to my crafting arsenal. Just because they blend so well and the colors are so vibrant. And you can even stamp with them. So I ended up stamping with them, the black soot with the little bat. So I just thought it turned out super cute to actually use them as a stamp. So what I'm doing is this is a scrap piece of paper just because I don't want any fingerprints to be on it. But again, just kind of getting the colors on, inking it up a little bit, going off the page first and then onto the page. That way the transition kind of goes together. So with the purple and the green, you kind of get this really cool almost orangey brown effect that you can kind of see that's between the purple and the green. So I just think that's really fun how all of these inks just kind of meld together. So here is the black soot. So again, starting off the page, kind of moving over. And I'm not being too careful with not overlapping or being careful with these little marks that you can kind of see that's between the black and the purple, because with, again, this particular ink, as much as you want the colors to kind of overlap, all you have to do is continue to blend. So if you're blending it over with the colors, then that piece just kind of disappears and those little marks just kind of go away. And right there we have that really sharp edge. So what I'm just going to do is get the purple again and just kind of blend that out. So that's the really nice part of all of this. If you don't like what the effect turns out to be, just keep blending. So again, with the black, going to blend those two into each other. Again, take the purple color, get that blended, kind of going over the black part, and then getting that all smooth, inking up a little bit more down to the purple part, over by the green, and then I will take that green again and just kind of work my way through that, kind of blending all of that in so it kind of has a seamless gradation. Obviously the colors don't completely all go ombre together because they're not the same color palette, but once you get them all blended, you can see that you have that beautiful transition. So we start with the dark, get to the purple, kind of that almost orangey kind of brown, down to the grass. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these all cleaned up and set to the side. And again, I did most of the coloring prior. I'm going to get this sheet moved too so I don't get anything on that I don't want on there. So I colored this cute little gnome. And what I really like about this thin cut and stamp set is you just get tons of thin cuts. I mean, each gnome gets their own one. The broom, the cat, the bat, the cauldron, the little moon, and this is for that little boo sign, and even the little pumpkin gets one too. So my little gnome will be holding this cute little boo sign. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is folded nice and flat. So on this, I'm going to get this put on the card base right away. The other nice thing with the Distressed Oxide is it does dry relatively quick. So I really like that as well. So I'm just going to put that in there again, making sure I have that 1/4 of a border. This is a piece of glitter paper that I cut at 4 inches by 1/4. Go ahead and get that glued down. Just kind of at the bottom is where I put it. I just wanted to add a little bit of extra glitter to the card. So that's right there. He is going to go right about here, and he'll be holding his cute little banner. And then I also cut out a couple of the cauldrons that I'm just going to kind of put right next to him. So this card I'm kind of keeping pretty flat just because I think there's a lot of added dimension with the coloring that I did in the background, but you could, that did not want to stick. Let's put that down again. There we go. You could easily add some dimension to this. You could pop up the little gnome. You could pop up his little boo sign as well. I just decided I wanted the background to kind of be the focal point, so I just made him flat. Put him down there. The little cauldron. Get this one flipped over. And I wanted to make sure that I used a good amount of the stamps that came in this set as well, along with the thin cuts. Personally, I think if you were only going to be buy one Halloween stamp set this year from Close to My Heart, it would definitely be this one. You guys get a ton of really cute sentiments, and then the gnomes are just absolutely adorable, and they're super easy to color in. So then I'm just going to get this open and get the back of the stamp that actually just kind of helps with the stamping, I'm going to go ahead and use the same sentiment and stamp on the Happy Halloween. Right now, I'm going to use the StazOn Opaque. Oh no, I'm not going to use this one. I am using the Versamark. That's what I'm using. So Versamark, this is what you use. I originally kind of played around with the StazOn and it didn't work out as well. So I'm going to use the Versamark ink, which is what you use for the embossing. I'm going to go ahead and get that all inked up. Put it where, oh yes, use this. So I'm going to use this, kind of spread that around. Get that anti-static pouch used. That way when I put the powder on, it shouldn't leave that big residue. Although, like I said, it's kind of a fun look. So put that down and up. That guy does not want to stay. There we go. Pushed him down. And I will just pour the powder right over it. Using this little tray, I got this tray right off of Amazon. It was relatively cheap, but it's really nice because it is a good way to not lose all your powder. And again, it kind of did that little effect, which I think I'm going to go with it, honestly, because it kind of does give that really fun kind of splatter effect. That actually might look fun. We'll see how this goes. And this guy just does not want to stick, so I'm going to use some liquid glue for him. And it could possibly be because I did not let the ink dry quick enough or long enough. Although I know Distress Oxide inks do, for the most part, dry pretty quick because I can touch it. If I got a clean finger, I can touch it and it's not coming off. But we shall see. Okay, liquid glue always works. And I think that's almost too much, so I'm just going to kind of flick off the excess. Then we'll go ahead and just use the heat tool. And I will just go ahead and get that nice and melted. And again, because for some reason that little bit of splatter, and the only thing I'm thinking is it must be from the fact that the Distress Oxide background wasn't fully dry. We'll go ahead and get this heated up. And it does, it kind of gives this really like fun Halloween splatter effect background. That's kind of fun. So then the last stamp is this adorable little bat that comes with it. And I'm actually going to use the Distress Oxide ink as stamping. So go ahead and get this little guy inked up. And I just put 3 of him right on here. Kind of in that visual triangle. One over there, one over there. And there you have it. Here is the other card that is just kind of opposite coloring, but here is the original, and then here's the one that we made today. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Hey everyone, just wanted to pop on real quick and let you know I figured out the problem. So on the first 2 cards that I created, the one in this video and the one that I made prior, I did have this splatter effect kind of thing, and it didn't matter if I used or didn't use the static or the anti-static pouch. So what I did before I stamped this one is I actually took my heat tool after I was done with the Distress Oxide inks and making this background, and I dried it off with that heat tool. And then I let it sit for a little bit. Then I use this anti-static pouch and then inked it up and embossed it. And you can see I have very little fallout, and it's got that really cool, fun shine to it, that really awesome effect that we all like when we do the heat embossing. So I just kind of wanted to let you know I'm still going to use these cards. I'm still going to give them away. These are the cards that I'm making for these kids' teachers. So I figured I wanted to make sure I determined, you know, what the problem was and kind of figured out what the solution would be. So my tip for you is if you run into this problem where the anti-static pouch just does not seem to be working on the backgrounds when you're trying to get less fallout with your embossing powder, I recommend drying off the paper, especially if you're in a hurry, with that heat tool, and then going ahead and getting the image stamped and then using the heat tool again for the embossing portion. So just wanted to add this little quick addedness or ending to this video to let you guys know that I did figure it out and I fixed the problem. And this third one has very little, but I still like it. It does definitely look like a fun little splatter effect, night sky kind of effect. So I'm going to definitely keep these, and I know that the teachers are going to love it. Again, thank you so much as always for joining me. Thank you for subscribing and thumbs up and all your lovely comments, and I will see you guys all next time.